Hello, good morning. It's not the best of weather days here in Cornwall. We had the most awful storm last night and the wind blew and blew, and when I got up this morning I wasn't sure how much of our roof or our trees in our garden would be left. You might hear some whistling of the wind throughout the video, but the wind has dropped quite a bit. But if I look out of this window, there are the most tremendous waves crashing onto the headland. It really is quite magnificent out there. Anyway, I'm digressing. This is an exciting video. I have 3 models to show you, and they relate to 2 new releases. So the first one I'm going to show you is Sally Stansfield 1841, and Sally is an extremely sweet little sampler. The reason I chose to reproduce Sally, besides in her own right being a very sweet, pretty sampler, is that she is the perfect companion piece for Mary Clayton. And on a workshop that I gave during the last few days, Janet and Christine brought their versions of Mary Clayton, and this is a photograph of Sally alongside Janet's Mary Clayton. As you can see, they are very, very sweet to hang together. Now, what can I tell you about Sally? Well, there are 3 possible Sally Stansfields. They all come from Yorkshire, and they all lived in an area that was very close together. But we really cannot say which of the 3 Sallys stitched this sampler. The sampler is 221 stitches by 207 stitches, and she used 2, 4, 6, 8, 10 colours, and the sampler is stitched mainly in cross stitch over 2, and the verse is executed in over 1. There are a handful of long straight stitches to show the sashes in the window. These little window sashes are just long straight stitches that cross over each other, and the door is outlined in long straight stitches as well. Then we have a row of queen stitch along here. So this sampler is an excellent choice for somebody who's learning but would like to venture into another stitch other than cross stitch. The booklet is a very sweet one. There are 4 pages of information about the possible Sallys, the time in which she lived, and there's lots of information about the beautiful county of Yorkshire in the booklet as well. It's very kind on the eye, the chart, and we have the centrefold spread in the middle. The booklet also comes with a bookmark and a tassel which you can punch and add to your bookmark, and when you are finished it has the label that you can complete to put on the back of your sampler. So I hope that people who have stitched Mary Clayton will also enjoy stitching Sally, and for them to hang together they will look very, very sweet. Now, our next release is one that I know that many, many people have been waiting for. Whenever we showed a sneak peek of the sampler, people got very, very excited. Now, this sampler has been reproduced and stitched by Sandra Moffat in Australia, and the name of the sampler is Tench. Anna stitched her sampler when she was aged 11 and finished it on March the 13th, 1819. And this is a very, very pretty sampler. If you have two girls, or if for you and your sister, or you've got two granddaughters, this is such a beautiful sampler. I love the three cats. There are two adult cats, and then there's a little kitten on the second girl's knee. So pretty, really, really is very, very pretty. Now, we actually found Anna. Don't know if that's going to stand. It might do. I hope it doesn't fall. We shall see. We found Anna, and Anna lived in the city of Birmingham, and she lived in Brass House Yard. And this is a very, very interesting area of Birmingham, and there is lots and lots of information in her booklet that is specific to Anna and the area that she lived. We know in old age, when she was a widow, that Anna became a monthly nurse, and we write about that as well in the booklet. So let's have a look. There are a lot of colours in Anna. I should have added these up before I made the video, but let's just add them up now. 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12, 14, 16, 18, 22, 24, 26, 28, 30 colours. She's so pretty. She really, really is. I just love those little faces. Look how sweet those faces are. I think Sandra has done a magnificent job reproducing this sampler. The stitch count is 266 stitches by 301 stitches. She really is very, very pretty. Now, when Anna stitched her sampler, she stitched her in cross stitch over 2, and there is a very small amount of cross stitch over 1, and this sampler is suitable for needle workers of all levels. Now, we are, I don't know quite how to say this, Sandra and I feel that we're on a journey with our reproduction work, and we want to follow in needlework teachers and students' footsteps from centuries past. And we believe that when a needlework teacher was instructing a classroom of little girls, that they would have talked about their needlework, their samplers, and their samplers would have been present in the classroom for the little girls to study. But a good teacher, she explains how to do something, and then she allows her students to use their creativity to use the lesson to make a sampler of their own. And we often see samplers that are clearly from the same school of needlework but are different. And this is because little girls didn't have to stitch their needlework teacher's sampler stitch by stitch using the same colour. They were allowed to go off and maybe research passages from the Bible, verses from hymns. Maybe their needlework teacher encouraged the little girl to write a little poem to add to their sampler. The girls may have had some options for borders, and they may have had to have worked out their border themselves to fit on the size linen that was available for them. And if the little girls got their maths wrong, their borders never met up, and that's why you often see a border fudged in a corner so that they would meet. And we also see samplers that have the same motifs, but they're stitched in different places. And Sandra and I, we both want to use our creativity to bring different designs to market. So although this version of Anna is a faithful reproduction of Anna's sampler, Sandra has actually stitched a second sampler using the chart that you find within Anna's sampler, but this time she has used her creativity and she has played with the stitches that she's used. So we have Anna number 1, a reproduction, and we have Anna 2, a sampler that is based on the original sampler, but Sandra has become very, very creative. She's used nearly all the same colours, but she's tweaked the colours in places, and she has used, I think, over 20 different types of stitches to execute this sampler. And this is very, very pretty. I just love those little lazy daisy stitches for the 2 yellow daisies. If you look on this sampler, they've been executed in cross stitch, and on this one, lazy daisy stitch. You can see that the little girls have got satin stitch dresses, and the girl that's standing has an apron stitched in brick stitch. You'll see the carpet of flowers have been stitched in rice stitch with eyelet centres on the flowers. On the original, this was all cross stitch. You can see the border is entirely cross stitch, but on the second sampler, Sandra has used satin stitch. So what you will get in the chart is the graph to stitch the cross-stitched sampler, and we also show a photograph of Sandra's second sampler. So you've got the cross-stitched version and you have the version with speciality stitches. And whilst we don't provide you with a graph to stitch the sampler with speciality stitches, because that would defeat the object of you being creative, we do give all the stitches, we list all the stitches that Sandra used in her second version. So we hope that you can have some fun with Anna's sampler, whether you stitch her faithfully to the original or whether you become creative yourself. The booklet comes with the bookmark, the tassel and the label to add to the back of the sampler as well. So there's a lot of things, or lots of really pretty samplers for you in these 2 releases, and we hope that you enjoy stitching these samplers. Just one more thing that I wanted to point out, that these 2 samplers, although they have the same stitch count, you can see they are slightly different in proportion, and that's because the same piece of linen, the same fat half, was used to stitch the sampler, but it was stitched in a different orientation, and the samplers just came out that little bit different. So enjoy, and these samplers are now available on our website. Anna's chart is priced at £24 English and Sally's chart is priced at £20 English. If you purchase samplers from Hands Across the Sea Samplers, we have a flat rate shipping charge of £2, no matter the size of your order or where in the world your order is going. So I hope that you enjoy these samplers, and until the next time, bye-bye.